The myth you have is, or the question you have about yourself is, am I good enough? Until you do it, you run in this thing, am I good enough? And that is anything. That's learning the skill like swimming, music, sports, as well as a job or becoming an artist or whatever. And of course, you start off with no, you're not good enough. Because anything you start for the first time is just like a baby. You start as a zero. And what you want to do is progress where you are a star. You can do this at the highest level. And that is maybe the highest level as an amateur, from an amateur basis, highest level for what you want to do with it. As let's just say you want to play tennis and you want to be able to play with the best people at your club. Now, some people want to play tennis and be professional tennis players, circle the globe. But if you want to be a tennis player, make it a regular part of your annual routine, your daily, weekly activity, you want to be great at it. That's what Christian David did. Christian David joins the country club. He goes over there, sees all the cool kids, cool people playing tennis. He wants to play tennis, but then he's a dud. He starts off playing tennis. You get out there and you're no good, but you don't know what a dud you are. Awkward. It's easy to look like, get the equipment, get the clothes, all of that stuff. But in the beginning, when you start, it's very unpleasant. You don't have good things happen. But he kept his eye on the top people and he got a coach. He got coaching. That's what we're doing here. The website, the blogs, the Twitters, the Weidel Academy is to give coaching to as many people as possible. So you want to get coaching. He got coaching and he kept improving. And what they have in tennis is they'll have, you guys are tennis players, no better than me. They'll have like their lower levels. In Atlanta and some of these cities, they have citywide leagues. And you move up, it's like soccer, amateur soccer. You have the leagues you move up through. This is not kiddie, this is adults. But they'll have that inside clubs and things like that. And you move up level to level because you don't want to go out there and compete with the professionals or people at the top. You move up level by level so you can learn the lessons you need to learn without just going out there and getting stomped on like a cockroach by the people that are really good. You get to where you can stay out there, you can learn, you can progress, develop skills, and depending on how driven you are, that's how you move up in everything. Same way you move up in all business. And see what we're talking about and having a mindset that allow you to win. The deal is to get yourself up to where you can win anywhere, doing anything. Because that allows you to take those things and win in your personal life. But it happens level by level. Now with us, we have promotion levels. You move up just like you learn in school. You move up through elementary, middle school, high school, college, and you have the little sub-levels inside there. And you do it step by step. There's a curriculum you go through, like climbing a ladder. All of these things I have videos on. The skip gradient principle, you can't just all of a sudden go over here and turn into a star. You got to do it level by level. You got to learn each piece. What happens is, let's just say that gets you to the point where you're like better than 98% of the people in the world, or even 99. There's a lot to be learned by listening to these biographies of top athletes after they retired, or even while they're currently playing. But like the Serena Williams, the guy Djokovic out of Serbia, Nadal, and guys who quit like Connors, Sampras, and Agassi. What they tell you is they got into the pros, they made it to the pros, or even professional golfers. You hear it on TV all the time if you listen. This is why I pay attention to the sports. I'm always a lifetime reader of Sports Illustrated because you hear how competitors compete and also how they improve. But what they do is like once they get up to professional status, they find out they've got to go through all of this stuff all over again. Basically, they're a zero again as a pro. If they're trying to do to make a living. Once they get up into the top 90% of the world and they work their way to where they can make a living, but they still find out they're a professional. They're better than 90% of these guys, but compared to these guys, they're a dud all over again. But they have the choice to make at this level, the same they had to make at this level. Do I want it bad enough to move up and get really great, to move to the top, to pay the price, to go through all these things? See, what the passage you go through on this thing is you go from a dud to where you're okay. Eventually you get where you're okay, to where you get where you're fair. You're not as embarrassing, humiliating as you were. At least you work your way up to mediocre, average, and then you get decent, and then you get good, and then you get very good, and then you get to where most people, you're excellent. Once you get where you're excellent, you're in the top 98, 90%. And by the way, going from total dud up to where you're better than at least 90% of the people in the world, that can happen in 3 to 6 months in most things. Maybe if it's a skill thing like a golf or something like that. But if you do it round the clock, and I'm not talking about part-time dinking around with it, but if you do it round the clock and you go into a tunnel and you focus on this thing, let's say you want to learn Spanish and you're taking Spanish lessons and you buying a bunch of Spanish magazines, you're watching nothing but Spanish television. When you go to restaurants, you go to the Spanish restaurants, you try and have as much of the conversation with the Spanish waiter and etc. there. You totally immerse yourself in Spanish in 3 months, 90 days. You're going to be pretty good. And in 6 months, you're going to be close to fluent. That's what happens when people go to foreign countries not knowing the language and they don't have any other choice. They don't have the option of hiding. They got to watch, say, American TV, American magazine, have American friends. They deal with Americans all day long. So pretty sure soon they're getting where they can make it pretty good with English. And the same thing is a process you go through. But once you get up here, you're excellent compared to all of these people. If you want to go on to greatness, there's a huge pool of people. Since there's 7 billion people in the world, there's going to be tens and maybe hundreds of thousands of people that are in the top 98% of whatever it is you want to get involved in. If it's playing tennis, playing chess, swimming, whatever, the world's a big place. So if in that pool, that final pool of people, you want to go and beat the best, well, you got to realize who you are, and you got to start improving, and improving your skills and this, that, and the other, and you get to where you can start to compete, can start to hold your own in this elite group. See, this is the elite. And so when you're starting anything in life, you go through these things right here. Right here. See, he's going to have, let's say you get up here, you get up to the 98%. It's the same thing. You had to deal with this thing. Am I good enough? You're going to be asking that same thing right here. Do I want to be satisfied just to be a pro golfer, pro tennis player, or do I want to continue to improve and become elite? But see, the myth you go in here comes from the question. And so what happens is you look around and these myths come in, but this is what I wanted to get into because this is real subject. Here's the thing that I did not know that I learned later. The answer to that, I learned it gradually, but it took me a long time. And that is this: regardless if other people have advantages or whatever, the key is no, I am not good enough when I start, but I can improve. And if I keep pushing, I'm not limited. The answer whether I'm good enough is not how I start. It's how much I improve and how determined I am to improve through here. Now, when it comes to improving, here's the number one mistake everyone has, and they think when you're starting and you haven't been on your own, you haven't had to go through this process about setting out on your own, learning something new, make something out of nothing type thing. What you don't know yet is, here's some big keys. Once you get beyond the myths, and we're going to knock out the myths, the big keys to set you free is, 1, you're not good enough, but others are, and they can help. See, it's just like a little kid learning how to ride a bike. Some of them jump on it and take off. Others, most of them, need training wheels, need the adult to hold them until they get the hang of it. They can help you get the hang of it. Once you get the hang of it, hey, you're off to the races. See, I did not know that when I got started, but I was so driven, I didn't have any other options. But that would have sure made it mentally a whole lot easier for me. But fortunately, I found a guy named Bob Turley and another guy named Art Williams, and that opened the door for me. Then from that, I found the Bob Wieson and the Bob Bill Arenders and the Virginia Carters and all of that. But what it is the coaching. See? Got coaching. And by the way, the end of this thing with Christian David, he became the club champion. He started off as a dud. He was excited, kind of like a little version of Tiger Woods being born and being fascinated about Jack Nicklaus and this, that, and the other, and he plays and he moves up. You know, that's the way it is with all professional athletes. They started as little kids who couldn't do it, but they had a dream. Christian did that with the tennis in that part of his life. He knew some things from being in business and successful. He knew it was a process. See, I can improve. It's a process. And the big keys, others are good enough. They can help. Once you learn how to do something, all of these guys over here were duds when they started too. And they had all of these doubts themselves all along the way. And then they had to go through it all over again when they got here. And you feel pretty good when you figure something out. You're kind of proud of it. You enjoy it. And things that you enjoy, you know that other people don't know, it's nice to pass them on. The process you're going from, folks, is not unique. The process you're going through is the process that creates the stars of tomorrow. So you can't let yourself get depressed. This is where, you know, if I'm writing books, I want to write books. I want to get 5, 10, 15, 20 books out there and obliterate Tony Robbins and John Maxwell because, in my opinion, even though John Maxwell's a friend, what have these guys done other than sell books? Where did all of their knowledge come from? Not from becoming a winner, but from observing winners. And so the thing is, you know, and I know that's harsh, so forgive me. My son loves Tony Robbins, gets a lot out of Tony Robbins, and I know they have done something in terms of making a lot of money and building big businesses, hustling self-help information. But what did they do first? And it's great, but it's like junior high school level insight. And so the reason I'm doing this is to tell you the truth and save you a lot of, to cut through the mustard. Because once you know what really is solid, it can save you time, wasting time, trying other things and finding out it sounds good. It is good up to a certain point, but basically it's half-baked. See, coaching. But people like me want to help people who are serious. The other thing is, you don't have to know. See, when I got started, I said, well, I just don't know. I don't know how to do it. It's not only am I good enough, I can't figure it out. You don't have to figure it out. I thought I was going to have to figure it all out. See, others know. There's other people who have spent 10, 20, 30, 40 years finding out what you're trying to find out now. Because they're just 30, 40, they're not smarter than you necessarily, but they're 30 or 40 years down the road. So all you got to do is ask. All you got to do is get close and listen. All you got to do is ask, listen, get close, and then put it to work. See if it works for you. You don't have to put everything you hear to work, but you listen for the ideas that fit you, your situation at this point in time, plug it in. And so this is a huge breakthrough for you to get to in your life once you realize, I'm not good enough. Big stinking deal. I've never done it before. It's like a baby. Well, I don't know, little Chucky, if you should even try and walk because, you've never done it before. Yeah, I was just born, you idiot. Shut up. If I'm looking around here down on the floor and I'm seeing all of these other idiots walking around, somehow I think eventually I can get where I can walk. Just give me a shot at it because I think I can improve. I might not start running right off the bat, but I think I can start crawling, standing up, taking a little step. If I fall down, big darn deal, get up, and eventually I can stabilize myself. I can get where I can trot a little bit. Might be sloppy, but I can get trot, and then eventually I can run. I can move up, and then maybe I keep doing that long enough, maybe I'll run the fastest mile that any human has ever run in history. Everybody, every sprinter, world-class sprinter, Usain Bolt down in Jamaica, all those Jamaican sprinters started as babies who couldn't even walk. Shocker. So anyway, this is to get the perspective. This is all about getting a winning perspective to get rid of your timidity. There's no reason for you to be timid. You're timid because you're not good enough. You haven't done it before. So what? Are kids timid when they're learning to stand up and crawl? No, they're giving it everything they've got. They want to get through this stage. That's the way you got to be. You got to be on the attack. Can't be apologizing.